Candyman. All right, this is in the key of A. We're going to be using this long A chord. Although initially we don't need to have the pinky going all the way out to the 5th fret on the 1st string. It's an alternating bass song, but the bass kind of alternates a little inconsistently. So like if we looked at the first 4 bars, where I'm holding basically a barred A chord, 2nd fret, 4 strings, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. My bass line is going to be like so. And that last little bit is going into an E chord, which we'll talk about in a second. So the bass notes always hit on the downbeat, but again, I play that 1st string, 5th string twice, and then go to the 4th string. So I'm sorry again. And then we have in the melody, we have that hammer on. That's the only thing that really needs to move as far as the melody is concerned in the left hand. That's the 1st measure. 2nd measure. Timing of that would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2nd measure 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 3rd measure is exactly like the 1st measure. Again, so we had a little flurry of bass notes at the end of the 4th bar. I'm still holding the A chord as I'm doing that and playing all those notes with my thumb. Now we're going to go into an E7 chord, and your basic E7 chord, the simplest version of it, has just the 1st finger and the 3rd finger involved on the 5th and the 3rd string. Now I'm going to add in the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, and how I would normally fret that would be to use my pinky. But because we're going to have to actually come up to the 1st string 4th fret, I'm going to end up playing that 2nd string 3rd fret with my 3rd finger. You see, we got to go up to that 4th fret on the 1st string, and it comes on and off, and very quickly go back and forth between the 1st string and the 2nd string. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and do it again. I didn't have my 3rd finger down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the way I would fret that chord. You could do it with your pinky. Sorry. Then you have to move your pinky. If you were to play that 2nd string with your pinky, you'd have to move it back and forth very quickly. So probably the best idea would be to use the 3rd finger. And I know a lot of folks have a lot of problem with getting the notes to all ring out. Be sure of where your thumb is. If your thumb's riding up here, your fingers are going to have a tendency to roll out and touch other strings and deaden those strings. So get your thumb back, allows your fingers to roll out away from the strings and not deaden the strings below the strings they are fretting. Okay, measure 7, Now we are into our long A chord where the pinky has to be down. So that's just holding that chord. You do have to take your pinky off to get that F sharp note in there. We walk down on the bass, go back to the E chord. So when I do that walk down, I go third finger on the 4th fret, middle finger on the 3rd fret, and slide that down. So now I'm back into position for my E7 chord. Okay, so that's the first verse. Okay, this is the guitar break in Candyman. And it's kind of an interesting little break. He's coming up between the 9th and the 10th fret. Excuse me, the 9th and the 12th fret. And I really think of this as a territory of an E chord. Even though the song's in A and you would expect this break to be in A, he does play an A in the bass. It gives it kind of a little off-kilter feel in my book. It sounds a little bit strange. But so anyways, you're up here at the 9th fret. You're barring 4 strings again, just like you did with the A chord up here, down here at the 2nd fret. 9th fret, alternating the bass here. And in this first bar, you're just finger picking your way through that with the alternating bass. And then second bar, we're going to descend down to what on the surface really looks like an E7 chord. So take the pinky off, make sure you have your middle finger in place on that 10th fret. The third bar of that break, same thing, a little bit more busy. Adding in that 3rd string in there. Last bar of that. Okay, then the 5th bar of this break, we're going to go right into an A major triad. And it just looks like a D chord here between the 9th and the 10th fret. Alternating the bass still. Now in this section he's going to a D chord. He'll slide in, and I suggest you use your 3rd finger to slide from the 3rd fret up to the 7th fret. Then you could put your 1st finger in place on the 5th fret of the 1st string. Quick shift to an A, which is in that same fret range between the 5th and the 7th fret. In fact, you really just have to move your fingers over and you grab this F-like looking chord, but keep the 1st string open. Bass is still alternating. And then we're going to go to a version of an E7. If you were to make the first sort of full 7 chord, it looked like this for the few caged aficionados. That's a D7 shape. We're not going to fret the 1st string, so we're going to fret the 4th, the 2nd, and the 3rd string. So that's our E7. And back to the A. Down with that walking bass like we used from the first verse. he's pretty much ending that break the way he would play a normal verse. You notice the break's a little bit longer. It's like 14 bars instead of 12 bars. So kind of one of those things that you can do when you're a solo fingerstyle player and playing 12-bar blues. You can put in extra bars if you want. And you don't really notice it when he plays this. It just sounds very natural, organic, if you would. So that's the guitar break in Candyman. Further along in the song in Candyman, he kind of varies the guitar part a little bit, and this is the section where it reminds me a little bit of like your typical Robert Johnson turnaround. Whoops. But he plays it like so. He's got the pinky, lined up on that first string 5th fret, and we're going to walk this bass down on the 4th string. So you're walking 4th fret, 4th string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. You go to that 5th string and play bass notes. And then E7, same E7 we were playing before. Back to A there. Now the next line we're gonna reflect that same kind of bass thing. And then quick flurry of bass notes. So let me play it a little slower. I'm doing this all with the right hand thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to our E7 chord. And everything here is the same.